Heck, let's brown bag that idea.
I'll put it on the back burner.
I'm gonna have to marinate on that.
I don't think that's in the foreseeable future.
That doesn't sound actionable.
I'm not ready to get in bed with this.
That's not mission critical.
I think that's sideways energy.
That's not even in our wheelhouse.
I don't have a wheelhouse. I mean, I have a house.
All right, so that's like every meeting I've ever been in, right? When you hear all these buzzwords, but I just think it's a funny video, and I think you should all go look at the whole thing. It's like 2 minutes long, but it literally is like, it'll crack you up by the end of it. You'll be laughing. I'm Nicole Jensen. I'm the Vice President of Business Technology. My office is right across the hall from this room, so if you guys are ever in here, you should stop by and say hi to me. I'm like I'm all by myself. It's a little lonely, but I'm there all day long, so. This morning and today I have to follow Dan, who's like this high energy guy, and then this afternoon he was even like funny, and I'm like, oh, now I have to be funny. So much to do. So I thought if I had 20 minutes with 50 realtors, we thought maybe more, but we are happy you're here. What would I want you to know? What's important to you, right? From our perspective, as the BLC, as your technology providers from the Realtor Association. So. That being said, I think that it's important to go back to what the BLC is, right? Sometimes we lose sight of why you guys subscribe to the BLC. It used to be back in the day that you had your BLC book, and it was this like coveted item, and it was a realtor tool, right? You didn't give it away. You didn't use it as an advertising mechanism. It was literally used as a tool for realtors, because that book was your way of knowing that that listing cooperated and they compensated. And that's what you used it for, right? Well, the purpose of the BLC has not changed. It just has gone from paper to an online environment. But I think in our day-to-day scurry to get your listings in front of as many eyeballs as you can, as quickly as you can, what does my seller want, where do I need to get it, that we start to think of it a little bit as like an advertising medium before what it truly is, which is a realtor tool to cooperate as realtors and be able to sell each other's properties, right? So that being said, one of our jobs for you after you decide to enter the listing into the BLC is to get that listing where you want it to go. So it's not where we want it to go. And I don't know how many calls the call center gets, or I get, or Angie gets, and they say, why are you putting my listing on Zillow? Why are you putting my listing on Realtor.com? I don't want it there. Those are not our decisions. Those are broker decisions, and those are agent decisions. And ultimately, it's your client's decision, right? Where they want their listing to display. And that's between you and them. That's your marketing plan. And Gary showed you earlier how to control that. So just know that MyBor is not making decisions for you, right? We're just trying to help you facilitate getting that data where it needs to be in a timely fashion. So the old school way of doing that is called RETS. And I said, well, they don't really care what it's called. It stands for Real Estate Transaction Standard. And you're like, I don't care. What does that mean to me? But it is important because it's right now how we communicate your listing over to your IDX website providers, over to Zillow, over to Realtor.com, your agent, your office websites. That's the transaction standard that we are using right now that's already considered old school, right? So this is how quickly everything's moving. I think that's only been out for what, 8, 9 years, and it's already like completely archaic, the way we're doing things. So new school is the MLS grid. And what the MLS grid is basically what I would call like a transport mechanism. It's an interface that allows the developers that are providing you guys tools, and what did Shelley say earlier, like billions of dollars people are investing into your space, into your technology space, which is phenomenal. And we're all very lucky, by the way, for everybody to want to produce tools for us. But we have to get your data over to all those tools, right? And you don't want to wait around for 2 days, a week, however long it's taking us right now for whoever's producing your app or your website, and for them to map all the fields. You have to sign an agreement, they have to sign it, your broker has to sign it, you have to send it over to us, we have to sign it, we have to create the interface, and so on. So the MLS grid streamlines this entire process. We're going to have certain vendors that we know Because most of you use the same vendors. You might not know that, but there's like a short list. There's like 70 vendors in all of MyBore that really produce 90% of your IDX solutions. So they're major players. And we shouldn't have to go through that whole process with them every single time one of our 8,400 members wants to interface with them. So the grid allows us to go, we know them, check mark. You want to work with them, check mark. We approve, and we're off and running. And it's like 24 hours, and you should be up. So that being said, there are a couple of things in the actual technology space that are also going to streamline all of these things that you guys want, these tools and these apps and these, whatever you want to produce for your buyers. One is the RESO standard, which again, it's another acronym, but it's Real Estate Standards Organization. And what we're doing is this is nationally. We're trying to all call the master bedroom the same thing, because we've all called it something different. And now there are like 635 MLSs nationwide, so they're getting fewer and fewer. But if we all call master bedroom the same field name, like not what you guys see on the BLC, that'll always stay what we call it. That we don't touch. This is on the back side of things. Then people that are out there that are smarter than me, because I'm not a programmer, I'm not a developer, I'm not a techie person, they can create web APIs, which are application programming interfaces. And those web APIs then, because of these standards, because we're all now talking the same language, they can plug in to our database, to MyBore's database, and their solution, whatever it may be, you can be up and running on it like this. So that's the future, right? And that's why we're moving to the grid. And that is a serious and very tangible MyBore benefit that this organization has created for you, is to make those pain points that you might not be aware of them, but you're paying for those pain points, right? So if we streamline that, it's going to be cost savings to you, because anything that's easier is more affordable, right? They're going to be able to up and run, and you'll be off and running in no time at all. All right. Speaking of your websites, so there are a couple of domains, top-level domains, as they call them, that are now available. .realtor has been available for a while. So if you're a realtor, only if you're a realtor, can you use your name.realtor, and you can own that as your URL. So I'm not a realtor, so I couldn't be, but let's say I was. So I don't qualify, you guys all do. I could be NicoleJensen.realtor. That would be my website, one of them. I mean, it would be something I could point, to. The newest one that's coming out in September is .realestate. So this is a new top-level domain offering. And you can register for it at that date and that time, September 18th at 11 a.m. Why that matters to you is because NAR made this available to you. So only realtors, nobody else, can go in and grab their .realestate domain at that moment. And then a few weeks later, and I don't know when, because it doesn't matter because you're all realtors, then they'll open it up to everybody else. And then everybody, like the actual real estate agents that are not realtors, will be able to go in and secure those domains. So again, why does that matter to you? Well, you don't want somebody else to have it, right? Because if your name is Nicole Jensen and I'm in real estate, I want that domain pointed to my website, right? I don't want it to go to where whoever else picks it up, and points it to somewhere that I don't want it to go. So it's more about security rather than replacing what you currently use, maybe. So I just wanted to make you aware of those. What are we doing? We're looking at earnest money deposits, like electronic earnest deposit solutions, if you will. So there's actually one more that's not up here. It's Squawk or Squawk. I don't know how to say it. The point is we have heard you. We have had numerous people reach out to us and say, this is not good. People, there's fraud. It's rampant. It's getting worse. And we want you as MyBore to go in and research all of the different viable options. We're not inserting ourselves into the transaction. We're saying to you, here are the options. And the BLC Technology Committee that Kathy and others serve on, they're going to go under a microscope with these. They've already looked at, generally a couple of them. But we have to determine a lot of things, right? Because we have to decide who's going to pay the fees, what title companies need to be involved, what lenders need to be involved, what brokers need to be involved. So all of those details are where we're at. So just know that we're looking at it and we care and we're trying to bring something to you that will ease your pain with earnest transfers. Especially like what Zach was talking about, like millennials look at you and you're like, you want me to write a check for my, I don't even own a checkbook. I mean, I was in California and I literally had to take a picture of my check before I mailed it to Greenwood when I moved from California to Indy. And I was like, really? Like, that's the only way I can get you money, you know? So it is, we need to move on, and we get it, but we just want to do it the right way. Make sure we get the right solution and have the right players at the table. So that's one thing we're looking at. And then this, Dan the man, as I call him, talked about SentryLock. And you already all have that. So that's already in your pocket right now. If you have a smartphone, you have SentryLock, right? If you have lockbox service, which is obviously not required. I think that it's one of the things that I think you should take away from today, even though he focused on the security part of the SentryLock. If you're not using that app, you are missing out on the powerful tools that exist within it. And when I got here, I started looking at your usage of your Sentry cards and then the app, and I was blown away at how focused and how centric you are on your cards, because they do nothing other than just get you in the house, right? And you pay for all of these amazing tools that are in the app. And so in the number 2, it's like, number 14, it's like more secure, it's more timely, it's more, you get all this information, it's real-time showing notifications, all of this. So if nothing else, download that app and just start to try to use it, because it's really, really, it'll be well worth your time in learning that. So. But that being said, on top of SentryLock, there are all these other companies out there that offer both reactive and proactive solutions. So one is, like if you're preventative action, there are, I think it's Forewarn and maybe one of these other, that actually allow you to run through, like you run somebody, like a little bit of a background check. So you're being proactive. You're like, I'm going to check you out before I go show you houses, because I don't know you. So I need your license and I want to run you. You're not going to say it that way. You're not going to be like, hey, you're a criminal. I need to run you through my system. But you guys, that's what you do. You know how to say it. So there's that. And then there's also the reactive, like Real Safe Agent, that connects directly to the 911 system. And we can integrate that into the BLC. So again, we've started, and I think way before I got here, they looked at Real Safe and they said, yeah, that looks good. But then we've had all these others start contacting. And I think that this one is local even. I know them, but they keep calling me and they're here in Indianapolis. So we're just going to look at them again comprehensively and try to find the best way that my board can try to help keep you guys safe. That's really all we care about. So, and is that it? Okay, coming soon. Coming soon is, I was actually going to do like my whole talk on coming soon, because it's all we talk about around here. I mean, every day, all day long, people are calling, going, there's a coming soon listing. It's ruining my business. My client found it. It was already sold. Now it's in there. It's pending. And I didn't even see it. It was on realtor.com. But, so we hear all these timing things. And we hear you. Like, we get it. And it's not just Indy. This is nationwide. NAR is talking about it. They're doing videos. They're trying to give us best practices. How can we take away whatever it is that's making it difficult or making you not the center of the transaction, right? You as in buyer's agents, because that is really what happens, is buyer's agents start to look a fool when you don't know about a house, and then it's sold, and you didn't even give it to them. And you've been showing these guys houses for 3 weeks, and they're like, well, how do you rate? You didn't even tell me, and this one, now it's sold yesterday, and I didn't even have a chance to go into it. So those are the stories that we're getting. And then people say it's unethical, and it's this, and all of these things. So I'm going to tell you what I know, like the facts of what I know today. We do not have a coming soon policy. We just don't yet, like a true coming soon policy. There is a task force that has been formed to look at it more granularly, like really delve into like what are we struggling with and how can we make it work better, right? Right now, there are 2 BLC rules that apply. One is that you have to process the listing within 2 business days of the signatures being obtained, right? And with that rule, if you don't, how many people knew that, by the way? Does everybody know the 2 business day? Okay, because we're talking to other people and they're like, 2 business days? What are you, like we process it when we get it back to our office, you know? So there is a rule, if you didn't know, that's supposed to go in there in 2 business days. And then if that's not possible, there is an exemption form. And the exemption form is signed by your seller stating that they are aware that you are going to withhold it. They have decided to withhold it. That's important. That the client has decided it would be best for them to not process it in the BLC yet because they're painting or they're carpeting or whatever it is. And that then you can withhold it. You have to send us those forms. You have to file them with the BLC, which is you email them to us. And then again, you're back in compliance. And essentially, you kind of have a bit of a pocket or off market or coming soon listing, so to speak, right? So those are the 2 rules that apply right now. There is a task force. Sharing before listing agreements. I will tell you that people, when you share a listing and it's on Facebook or wherever it is you want to put it, if it is prior to that effective date, so it's 3 days before the listing effective date, you don't have a contract. And do you know what that listing agreement does? It makes them compensate you for your time and effort and energies as a professional real estate realtor, you know? So if you do something before that date, you're not guaranteed that that those terms are going to be adhered to, right? So if you sell it 3 days before the listing agreement is effective, not saying it's gonna happen or it has happened, and I'm not an attorney, but I'm telling you, you don't have a contract. And so they could say, I don't owe you a dime, thanks for the buyer, have a good day, because our listing agreement's not effective. And it's not like that would always be the case, but just think about that, because it's really a contractual obligation by the seller, right? And if you sell it before that's effective, then you don't have a contract. So just keep that in mind. For sale sign in the yard, we get a lot of calls. They have a sign out. It's not on the MLS, BLC, you know, it's not okay. It's a coming soon listing. This is not in our lane, so to speak, right? Like yard sign, it's not my wheelhouse. It's not my wheelhouse. Yard signs are advertising. And that is a very individual business plan with your seller and your company. You all have individual marketing tools that we do not interfere with that. What I will say though is there is a state law that says that if you're going to put a sign in the yard, you have to have your seller's permission, right? You do. You have to have permission. I've read it. It's real. And that listing agreement that we all sign and we all enter into offers that permission. But if it's not effective yet, then again, you don't have those permissions because that listing agreement hasn't begun. So it's kind of like a semantics thing, right? And there's no right or wrong or everyone's like, oh, I know the right way to do it coming soon. I'm just telling you what I know, what I have, like when we think about this, like when we sit and talk about what does this mean and what do they not know? I just want you to know that for sale signs, that's your business, but make sure you have permission, written permission. It could be an email even, maybe. I'm not an attorney. But it could be something that says you have permission to put a sign in my yard, to begin marketing it for the listing effective April 15th, whatever. And my soapbox moment, and then I'm done. I wasn't too bad. I was way less than this morning. Is that we are all here in this building, this staff that we have, like, what do we have? 14 staff on my team, excuse me. And we're here to create an efficient and healthy marketplace. And I think that needs to be the focus more than it is maybe. Because why we cooperate, why you all are members of this BLC is because you are here to cooperate with one another, right? And that's what's best for your clients, 99% of the time. I've been doing this since '97, and I've argued with people that say, I think it's in my best interest to not share my listing, and that's your prerogative. But I don't really see how, when you could expose it to so many people, right? And that so many realtors are out there with great buyers ready to write an even better offer than if you wouldn't have shared it. So that's my opinion, and it's not a legal one, but you have to remember why we all subscribe to the BLC. It's not to get your listing up on Realtor.com, right? It's so that you guys can come together as 8,400 people that work really well together to try to get people home ownership in this city. So just think about that sometimes when and we understand that it's happening, but right now we only have a certain amount of the ability to try to do something about it, which is enforce the rules that are in place now, create a task force to re-examine it, and watch for national trends to try to solve it for good. So, any questions? All right, I blew everybody's mind. Have fun.